All right, everyone, calm down. This is not 2008. I repeat, this is not 2008. Welcome to the Kisker Show, keeping it simple and keeping it real. Hi, my name's Leslie Bennett and I'm with the Bennett Real Estate Company and Leslie Bennett Real Estate Team. Recently, Realtor.com released the results of a survey that produced three major revelations. 53% of home purchasers, first-time and repeat buyers currently in the market believe a recession will occur this year or next. 57% believe the next recession will be as bad or worse than 2008. 55% said they would cancel plans to move if a recession occurred. Since we are currently experiencing the longest ever economic expansion in American history, there is reason to believe a recession could occur in the not too distant future. And it does make sense that buyers and sellers remember the horrors of 2008 when they hear the word recession. So here's the deal. Half the country is going to believe that the world's going to fall apart, and half the world believes that this is the single greatest economy on the planet. Whatever side you lean is entirely up to you. What I want you to know is that in the last 5 recessions, only 2 had any impact on housing. One was in 1991 when home prices went down by 2%. And one was clearly in 2008 when home prices dropped as much as 19.7%. But in those other 3 recessions, home prices went up as much as 7%. Why? Because when people say the stock market is bad, they take their money out. What do they buy? The safest investment on the planet, called real estate. Listen to what I'm telling you. In 1980, 1981, and 2001, housing prices actually increased. In the past 23 years, there have been 2 national recessions, the dot-com crash in 2001 and the Great Recession in 2008. Now, it is true that home values fell 19.7% during the 2008 recession, which was caused by a mortgage meltdown that heavily impacted the housing market. However, while stock prices fell almost 25% in 2001, home values appreciated 6.6%. So what I'm trying to say is that the triggers of the next recession will more closely mirror those from 2001, not those from 2008. Allie Wolf, Director of Economic Research at the real estate consulting firm Myers Research, addressed this point in a recent interview. With people having PTSD from the last time, they're still afraid of buying at the wrong time. Most experts, however, believe if there is a recession, it will not resemble 2008. This housing market is in no way the same as it was just over a decade ago. Zillow economist Jeff Tucker explained the difference in a recent article. Recessions typically have limited effect on the housing market. As we look ahead to the next recession, it's important to recognize just how unusual the conditions were that caused the last one and what's different about the housing market today. Rather than abundant homes, we have a shortage of new home supply. Rather than risky borrowers taking on adjustable rate mortgages, we have buyers with sterling credit scores taking out predictable 30-year fixed rate mortgages. The housing market is simply much less risky than it was 15 years ago. George Ratu, hope I'm saying that right, senior economist at Realtor.com, also weighed in on the subject. This is going to be a much shorter recession than the last one. I don't think the next recession will be a repeat of 2008. The housing market is in a better position. I'm just sitting here thinking, do I want to sell you a house? Do I want to list your homes? Of course I do. You know that's what I do for a living. What I really want to do is just talk some sense into you. If you were my mother, if you were my dad, if you were my brother, my sister, my cousin, and you're in a panic right now about what's going to happen with housing, my general advice would be to turn off the news between now and November when the election comes, and just remember that you live in the greatest country on the planet. You live in a beautiful home. Improve the value. If anything, you might want to consider that while one half the world is freaking out, that this might be a great opportunity to use this to your advantage. And maybe you should buy an investment property or two. Maybe you should buy it for you or your kids that are going off to college. Now, if that doesn't make sense for you, no sweat. Let's be clear, my friends. We are going on the longest economic recovery in American history, and I want you to be well informed. Listen, no one knows or no one can accurately predict when the next recession will occur. Expecting it to happen in the next 18 to 24 months is understandable, but it's important for you to know that the impact that this recession will have on the housing market will in no way resemble the effect that it had in 2008. As always, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have about real estate, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Leslie Bennett Real Estate Team channel, The Kisker Show. I'm Leslie Bennett with Bennett Real Estate Company, keeping it simple and keeping it real.